The morning sun streamed through the hospital windows as Maya sat in the waiting room, her fingers intertwined with her husband David's. Her heart was racing, not from the usual anxiety of doctor visits, but from the hope that had brought them here. After 2 years of trying to start a family, they had finally taken the step toward IVF treatment. "Everything will be fine," David whispered, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. Maya smiled, drawing strength from his unwavering support. Their love story had been beautiful from the start. She, with her Asian heritage and infectious laugh, and he with his African-American roots and kind eyes. Together, they had faced every challenge life threw at them, but this journey to parenthood had tested them in ways they never expected. The nurse called their names, and Maya's stomach did a little flip. As they walked into the examination room, she caught a glimpse of their reflection in the window, two people from different worlds, united by love and the dream of creating their own family. The doctor's office was warm and welcoming, with children's drawings decorating the walls. Each colorful picture seemed to whisper promises of possibility. "Good morning." Dr. Rodriguez greeted them with a warm smile as she prepared the ultrasound machine. "Let's see how those little ones are doing, shall we?" Maya laid back on the examination table, the familiar cool gel spreading across her belly. David stood beside her, his presence as comforting as always. The room filled with the whooshing sound of the ultrasound, and Dr. Rodriguez moved the wand carefully across Maya's stomach. Suddenly, she paused, her eyes widening slightly. "Oh my," she said, leaning closer to the screen. Maya's heart skipped a beat. "Is everything okay?" David asked, his voice tight with concern. Dr. Rodriguez turned to them with bright eyes. "More than okay. I'm seeing something quite extraordinary here." She turned the screen toward them. "Do you see these flickering spots? Each one is a heartbeat. And I'm counting 1, 2, 3 separate heartbeats." Maya's grip on David's hand tightened. 3, she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You mean?" "Congratulations, you're carrying triplets." The world seemed to stop spinning for a moment. Maya looked at David, whose expression mirrored her own mix of shock, joy, and absolute terror. 3 babies, not 1, not 2, but 3 little lives growing inside her. Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she watched the tiny heartbeats dancing on the screen. Each flutter represented a dream coming true 3 times over. Dr. Rodriguez continued explaining medical details, but Maya was lost in thoughts of tiny socks in 3s, triple the hugs, and 3 times the love. Later that evening, sitting on their couch at home, Maya and David tried to process the news. Their small apartment suddenly seemed different as they imagined it filled with 3 cribs, 3 high chairs, and 3 times the baby giggles. "How are we going to do this?" Maya wondered aloud, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. David pulled her close. "Together, just like we do everything else. Remember when everyone said we wouldn't make it as a couple? Look at us now." Maya laughed softly, remembering their family's initial hesitation about their relationship. "And now we're going to have 3 babies who might look like beautiful combinations of both of us." 3 perfect little miracles, David agreed, his voice full of emotion. "Our own little rainbow family." That night, as Maya lay in bed, she couldn't sleep. Her mind was racing with thoughts of the future, the challenges they would face, the joy they would experience, and the incredible journey ahead. She imagined 3 different laughs, 3 unique personalities, 3 sets of tiny fingers wrapping around hers. The moonlight filtered through their bedroom window, casting a gentle glow across the room. Maya reached for her journal on the nightstand, the one she had bought when they first started trying for a baby. Opening to a fresh page, she began to write. "Dear little ones, today we found out there are 3 of you, and our hearts have already grown 3 sizes to make room for all the love we have for you. You're our miracles, our dreams coming true in triplicate. We don't know what you'll look like, whose eyes you'll have, or whose smile you'll share, but we know one thing for certain, you'll be loved beyond measure. Your daddy and I promise to create a home where you'll always feel proud of who you are and where you come from. You're the beginning of our biggest adventure yet." As she closed the journal, Maya felt a deep sense of peace settle over her. Yes, the road ahead would be challenging, but it would also be filled with more love and joy than she could imagine. 3 babies meant triple the blessings, and she was ready to embrace every moment of this unexpected journey. As Maya's pregnancy progressed into the second trimester, her body wasn't the only thing changing. Her whole world was transforming. During a routine checkup, Dr. Rodriguez shared something fascinating that would add another beautiful layer to their already unique journey. "You know," the doctor said, reviewing their genetic profiles, "given your diverse backgrounds, there's something quite special about your triplets." She smiled warmly at Maya and David. "There's a possibility that each baby could be born with distinctly different skin tones and features. It's like nature's own celebration of diversity." Maya's eyes lit up at this news, while David leaned forward in his chair, intrigued. The doctor explained how their combined Asian and African American heritage could express itself differently in each child, creating 3 uniquely beautiful babies who were all equally theirs. That evening, as they sat in their favorite coffee shop, Maya with her deck of tea and David with his regular coffee, they couldn't stop talking about the possibilities. "Can you imagine?" Maya said, her hands cradling her growing bump. 3 different beautiful shades of love. "Just like those paint swatches we've been looking at for the nursery," David chuckled, referring to their weekend spent debating wall colors. "Except way more perfect." The next challenge was sharing this news with their families. They decided to host a small dinner, bringing both sides together. Maya spent hours preparing a mix of dishes that honored both their cultural backgrounds, her mum's special dumplings sitting next to David's aunt's famous sweet potato pie. When they shared the doctor's insights about the baby's possible appearances, the reactions were as varied as the food on the table. Maya's mother clasped her hands together in delight, already planning to knit blankets in different colors. David's grandmother, who had lived through times when interracial relationships faced harsh judgment, wiped tears from her eyes. "Times really are changing," she said softly, reaching across the table to hold Maya's hand. "These babies are going to be beautiful bridges between our families, our cultures, our histories." But not all reactions were purely positive. Maya's uncle cleared his throat awkwardly. "Wouldn't it be complicated?" he asked. 3 children who might look so different. David's sister jumped in before anyone could feel hurt. "Love isn't complicated," she said firmly. "And these babies will have so much of it." The tension dissolved into warm laughter and excited baby name discussions. As the weeks passed, Maya found herself drawn to learning more about both their cultural histories. She spent evenings reading about African American heritage, while David studied Asian traditions. They wanted to create a home where their children would understand and celebrate all parts of who they were. One Saturday morning, while organizing the nursery, Maya found David sitting among piles of baby clothes, looking thoughtful. "What's on your mind?" she asked, lowering herself carefully to sit beside him. "I was just thinking about how our babies might face questions growing up," he said. "You know, about why they look different from each other or from us." Maya picked up a tiny onesie, running her fingers over the soft fabric. "Then we'll help them understand that being different is what makes them special. That our family doesn't need to match on the outside because we're connected by something much stronger." They began preparing a special book for the triplets, filling it with family photos from both sides, stories of their heritage, and messages of love from relatives. Maya's cousin, an artist, painted beautiful illustrations showing families of all colors and combinations. The nursery slowly came together, painted in gentle neutral tones that would complement any skin color. They hung a world map on one wall, planning to mark all the places their family stories came from. David's mother brought over 3 traditional African baby wraps, each in different vibrant patterns, while Maya's grandmother contributed delicate silk blankets she had saved from Maya's own childhood. During their regular evening walks, now more like gentle waddles for Maya, they would talk about their hopes and dreams for their children, how they would teach them to stand tall and proud, to embrace their unique features, to know they were perfect exactly as they were. "You know what's amazing?" Maya said one evening as they watched the sunset paint the sky in countless colors. "Nature creates the most beautiful things by mixing different elements together. Like that sunset, it's gorgeous because it has so many colors working together." David wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "Just like our family," he said softly. "A masterpiece in the making." As Maya's belly grew bigger, so did their circle of support. Friends and family rallied around them, offering help and sharing in their excitement. Their home became a gathering place where different languages, foods, and traditions mixed naturally, creating the perfect environment for their future family. Each night, before bed, Maya would talk to her growing bump, sharing stories about both their cultures, singing lullabies in different languages, and making promises about the wonderful world of love and acceptance they were creating for their three little miracles. The autumn morning started like any other, with golden leaves dancing outside the bedroom window. Maya had just reached 32 weeks, and though she knew the triplets might come early, she didn't expect her water to break during her morning cup of tea. One moment she was sitting at the kitchen table, the next she was calling out to David, her voice surprisingly calm despite the puddle at her feet. "Honey, I think it's time," she said, watching David's eyes grow wide as he dropped the newspaper he'd been reading. Years of careful planning kicked in, and within minutes they were heading to the hospital, their packed bags ready in the trunk. The drive was a blur of autumn colors and quiet prayers. Maya focused on her breathing, just as they'd practiced in their special multiple birth classes, while David navigated through traffic with steady hands but racing heart. They'd known this day would come, but nothing could truly prepare them for the mix of excitement and nervousness they felt. At the hospital, their favorite nurse, Annie, greeted them with a warm smile. "Ready to meet your three little miracles?" she asked, helping Maya into a wheelchair. The maternity ward was oddly peaceful that morning, as if the world was holding its breath for what was about to unfold. Dr. Rodriguez had already arrived, her calm presence reassuring as she checked Maya's progress. "The babies are eager to meet you," she said, reviewing the monitors. "We're going to take good care of all of you." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Maya's contractions intensified, and the medical team decided a C-section would be safest for the triplets. David held Maya's hand throughout the preparation, whispering words of encouragement and love. "Remember when we first found out about them?" he said softly, trying to distract her from the bustle of medical staff around them. "You were so worried about having enough love for three babies." Maya smiled through her nervousness. "And now my heart feels like it could burst with love for them already." Her voice wavered slightly as another contraction hit. In the operating room, the atmosphere was focused but filled with positive energy. The surgical team worked with practiced precision while a special team of NICU nurses stood ready for each baby. David, dressed in hospital scrubs, sat by Maya's head, his presence her anchor to calmness. At 11:23 a.m., the first cry pierced the air, strong and determined. "Baby A is here," Dr. Rodriguez announced. "And look at those beautiful almond eyes." The nurses quickly wrapped the tiny girl in a warm blanket, showing her briefly to her parents before whisking her to the warming station. 2 minutes later, a second cry joined the symphony. "Here comes baby B." This time, a little boy emerged, his skin a gorgeous honey brown. Maya couldn't see past the surgical drape, but she could hear the joy in the nurses' voices as they described him to her. At 11:27 a.m., the third baby made her entrance with the loudest cry of all. And baby C completes the set. The little girl was a perfect blend of her parents, her features a unique mix that made everyone smile. The NICU team worked quickly but gently with each baby, checking vital signs and ensuring everything was okay. Despite being early, all three babies were surprisingly strong. Their weights were close: 4 pounds 2 ounces, 4 pounds even, and 4 pounds 1 ounce. Once Maya was in recovery, the nurses brought each baby to meet their parents properly. The moment was magical. 3 tiny faces, 3 different shades of beautiful, all wearing matching tiny hats knitted by Maya's mother. "They're perfect," Maya whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks as she held the first baby. David cradled the second, while the third rested nearby in a bassinet. Our own little rainbow. The autumn morning started like any other, with golden leaves dancing outside the bedroom window. Maya had just reached 32 weeks, and though she knew the triplets might come early, she didn't expect her water to break during her morning cup of tea. One moment she was sitting at the kitchen table, the next she was calling out to David, her voice surprisingly calm despite the puddle at her feet. "Honey, I think it's time," she said, watching David's eyes grow wide as he dropped the newspaper he'd been reading. Years of careful planning kicked in, and within minutes they were heading to the hospital, their packed bags ready in the trunk. The drive was a blur of autumn colors and quiet prayers. Maya focused on her breathing, just as they'd practiced in their special multiple birth classes, while David navigated through traffic with steady hands but racing heart. They'd known this day would come, but nothing could truly prepare them for the mix of excitement and nervousness they felt. At the hospital, their favorite nurse, Annie, greeted them with a warm smile. "Ready to meet your three little miracles?" she asked, helping Maya into a wheelchair. The maternity ward was oddly peaceful that morning, as if the world was holding its breath for what was about to unfold. Dr. Rodriguez had already arrived, her calm presence reassuring as she checked Maya's progress. "The babies are eager to meet you," she said, reviewing the monitors. "We're going to take good care of all of you." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Maya's contractions intensified, and the medical team decided a C-section would be safest for the triplets. David held Maya's hand throughout the preparation, whispering words of encouragement and love. "Remember when we first found out about them?" he said softly, trying to distract her from the bustle of medical staff around them. "You were so worried about having enough love for 3 babies." Maya smiled through her nervousness. "And now my heart feels like it could burst with love for them already." Her voice wavered slightly as another contraction hit. In the operating room, the atmosphere was focused but filled with positive energy. The surgical team worked with practiced precision while a special team of NICU nurses stood ready for each baby. David, dressed in hospital scrubs, sat by Maya's head, his presence her anchor to calmness. At 11:23 a.m., the first cry pierced the air, strong and determined. "Baby A is here," Dr. Rodriguez announced. "And look at those beautiful almond eyes." The nurses quickly wrapped the tiny girl in a warm blanket, showing her briefly to her parents before whisking her to the warming station. 2 minutes later, a second cry joined the symphony. "Here comes baby B." This time, a little boy emerged, his skin a gorgeous honey brown. Maya couldn't see past the surgical drape, but she could hear the joy in the nurses' voices as they described him to her. At 11:27 a.m., the third baby made her entrance with the loudest cry of all. And baby C completes the set. The little girl was a perfect blend of her parents, her features a unique mix that made everyone smile. The NICU team worked quickly but gently with each baby, checking vital signs and ensuring everything was okay. Despite being early, all 3 babies were surprisingly strong. Their weights were close: 4 pounds 2 ounces, 4 pounds even, and 4 pounds 1 ounce. Once Maya was in recovery, the nurses brought each baby to meet their parents properly. The moment was magical. 3 tiny faces, 3 different shades of beautiful, all wearing matching tiny hats knitted by Maya's mother. "They're perfect," Maya whispered, tears rolling down her cheeks as she held the first baby. David cradled the second, while the third rested nearby in a bassinet. Our own little rainbow. The first night home with the triplets felt like stepping into a beautiful chaos. The nursery, so carefully planned and organized, now buzzed with the gentle sounds of 3 breathing babies. Maya and David had prepared for months, but nothing could fully prepare them for the reality of caring for 3 newborns at once. "Okay, little ones," Maya whispered in the soft glow of the night light. "Let's figure this out together." She had just finished feeding the first baby when the second began to stir. David, who had dozed off in the rocking chair, instantly awoke at the sound. Those early weeks became a dance of synchronized baby care. While one baby slept, another needed feeding, and the third needed changing. They developed their own system: color-coded bottles, specially marked pacifiers, and a whiteboard to track feeding times. Their bedroom transformed into a command center, with 3 bassinets arranged in a semicircle around their bed. "Look at their little personalities already showing," David said one morning as he gently rocked their son, who always seemed to wake up first. The 2 girls had different ways of letting their parents know they were hungry, one with soft whimpers, the other with determined cries. The daily routine became both exhausting and exhilarating. Maya's mother stayed with them for the first month, her experienced hands a blessing during those long nights. She taught them tricks she had learned raising Maya: how to swaddle babies just right, how to soothe their hiccups, and most importantly, how to find moments of rest between the chaos. Their first outing as a family of 5 was to the local park. They had prepared like they were planning an expedition: 3 baby carriers, a diaper bag packed with military precision, and backup everything. As they strolled down the sidewalk, they noticed the looks, some curious, some confused, some filled with pure joy. An elderly lady approached them, her eyes twinkling. "What beautiful babies!" she exclaimed, peering into each carrier. "They're like little flowers in different colors, all blooming at once." Her genuine delight made Maya and David smile, remembering their own wonder at their children's unique features. But not all encounters were as pleasant. At the grocery store, a stranger asked bluntly if all 3 babies were really theirs. David responded with gentle humor, "Yes, they're our triple blessing." Maya squeezed his hand, proud of how they handled such moments with grace. The babies grew rapidly, each developing their own schedule. The eldest by 2 minutes was always first to try new things, first to roll over, first to grab her toes, first to smile. Her sister, the youngest, was more contemplative, watching everything with curious eyes. Their brother in the middle was the most vocal, his happy gurgles filling the house with joy. "It's like watching 3 different sunrises," Maya's father said during one of his visits. "Each one unique, but equally beautiful." He had been quiet when they'd first announced the pregnancy, but now he couldn't stop showing pictures of his grandchildren to everyone he met. They learned to celebrate small victories. All 3 babies napping at once felt like winning the lottery. The first time they all slept through the night, Maya and David actually cried with joy. They documented everything, filling photo albums with pictures of first baths, first solid foods, and countless matching outfits. The community around them grew stronger. Neighbors brought meals, friends organized a schedule to help with laundry, and both sides of the family pitched in whenever they could. Their home became a place where different languages, traditions, and love stories merged into one beautiful tapestry. One particularly memorable evening, as Maya sat in the nursery rocking 2 babies, while David walked with the third, she caught sight of their reflection in the window. The scene brought tears to her eyes. Their little family, different shades and features all bound together by love, looking exactly as they were meant to be. "What are you thinking about?" David asked, noticing her emotional moment. "Just how perfect this is," she replied, watching their son fall asleep in David's arms. "All the challenges, all the tired moments, they're worth it when I see them together like this." The babies' different appearances drew attention everywhere they went, but they learned to use these moments as opportunities to share their story of love and family. At doctor's appointments, other parents would often ask questions, genuinely curious about their journey. Through the sleepless nights and busy days, they discovered strength they never knew they had. Maya found herself able to function on minimal sleep, her body somehow knowing exactly which baby needed her attention. David became an expert at preparing bottles one-handed while soothing a fussy baby with the other. Their love grew in unexpected ways too. Every smile, every tiny milestone, every peaceful moment when all 3 babies were content, these simple things filled their hearts with more joy than they thought possible. They learned that parenthood wasn't about perfection, but about showing up each day with open hearts and willing hands. As the weeks turned into months, their confidence grew. The chaos became their normal, the challenges their stepping stones. They weren't just surviving with triplets, they were creating a home where love knew no boundaries, where differences were celebrated, and where 3 unique little souls were growing stronger every day. The first day of preschool arrived with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Maya stood at the kitchen counter, packing 3 identical lunchboxes with each child's favorite snacks, while David helped the triplets put on their new backpacks. Each bag had been carefully chosen to match their individual personalities, one decorated with stars, another with dinosaurs, and the third with rainbows. "Remember what we talked about?" Maya asked as she straightened their little collars. "You're all special, and you're all family, no matter what anyone says." The children nodded, their eyes bright with excitement about their new adventure. The classroom was a whirlwind of activity when they arrived. Other parents and children turned to look at their unique family, some with obvious curiosity. The triplets, now 3 years old, were starting to notice these looks too. "Why do people keep looking at us?" their son asked one day after school, his innocent question catching Maya off guard. She pulled him onto her lap, gesturing for his sisters to join them on the couch. "You know how butterflies come in different colors," she began, reaching for their favorite picture book. "Each one is beautiful in its own way. That's like our family. You and your sisters are like beautiful butterflies, each unique, but all part of the same garden." The children seemed to understand this simple explanation, but new questions emerged as they grew more aware of their differences. During playtime, one sister noticed her skin was lighter than her brother's. The other sister wondered why some classmates thought they couldn't be triplets. David and Maya turned these moments into opportunities for learning and celebration. They created a special family colors corner in their home, filled with photos showing their extended family's diverse appearances. They hung a mirror where the children could stand together and see their beautiful differences, while also noticing their shared features: the same shaped eyes, similar smiles, identical dimples when they laughed. One afternoon, during a parent-teacher meeting, their son's teacher shared a touching story. During free drawing time, he had created a picture of his family using every crayon in the box. When another child questioned his color choices, he confidently explained, "Families can be any color, just like rainbows." But not every day was easy. During a playground playdate, another parent made an insensitive comment about the triplets' different appearances. Maya felt her heart sink, but before she could respond, another mom stepped in. "I think they're absolutely beautiful," the mom said firmly. "Their family shows us what love really looks like." This moment led to a friendship between the families, and soon their playgroup became a diverse mix of families of all kinds. The triplets began developing their own ways of handling questions about their appearance. The eldest girl would proudly announce, "We're triplets, we just came in different flavors." Her sister would show off their matching birthmarks that only family members knew about. Their brother would demonstrate how they all had the same laugh. At home, they created new traditions that celebrated their unique family. Every month, they had a special dinner where they explored different aspects of their heritage. They learned simple words in different languages, tried new foods, and shared stories about their grandparents' childhoods. One evening, while helping to make dumplings with their grandmother, the middle child pressed her tiny fingers into the dough and declared, "Look, the dough is like us, sometimes light, sometimes dark, but always yummy." The kitchen erupted in laughter, and Maya captured the moment on video to share with David's parents. The children's understanding of their family's uniqueness grew in beautiful ways. During a school cultural day, they proudly presented their family story, showing pictures and sharing traditions from both sides of their family. Their classmates were fascinated, asking questions and sharing their own family stories. Maya and David made sure to address more serious moments with age-appropriate honesty. When their son came home upset because someone said they couldn't be real triplets, they sat down as a family. "Family isn't just about looking the same," David explained. "It's about the love we share and the memories we make together." They found creative ways to reinforce this message. They started a bedtime ritual where each child would share their favorite thing about being a triplet. The answers were always heartwarming. "I love having two best friends forever. I like that we can make a rainbow when we hold hands. I'm happy we can all have different favorite colors but still match." As the children grew more confident in their identity, they began helping other kids understand diversity. When a new student joined their class, looking nervous about being different, the triplets immediately included them in their games. Their teacher later told Maya how proud she was of their natural ability to make others feel welcome. The year brought many firsts: first friends outside the family, first school performances, first bits of independence. Through it all, the bond between the triplets grew stronger. They developed their own secret language, inside jokes, and ways of supporting each other that amazed their parents. Maya often found herself watching them play together, marveling at how their differences had become their strength. They were teaching their whole community that love doesn't see color, it sees hearts, smiles, and the countless ways that families can grow and bloom together. The aroma of traditional Asian spices mingled with the smell of soul food cooking in the kitchen as Maya and David prepared for their monthly family celebration dinner. The triplets, now in elementary school, were helping set the table with special chopsticks on one side and traditional silver settings on the other, a perfect blend of both their cultures. "Can I put the flowers in the middle?" their youngest daughter asked, carefully arranging bright blooms in a vase her grandmother had given them. Her sister was helping their brother practice using chopsticks for the 100th time, all three giggling as he almost dropped them again. These family dinner celebrations had become their favorite tradition. Each month, they chose a different aspect of their heritage to explore and celebrate. Tonight was special. They were celebrating Lunar New Year and Black History Month together, creating their own unique blend of traditions. The kitchen counter was covered with dishes that told their family's story. Dumplings made from Maya's grandmother's recipe sat next to cornbread made from David's mother's instructions. The children had helped make both, their small hands learning the techniques passed down through generations. "Remember when you couldn't even reach the counter?" David asked, watching their son carefully fold a dumpling. "Now look at you, you're becoming a real chef." The pride in his voice made their son beam with joy. Their home had become more than just a house, it was a living museum of their blended heritage. Photos of both families lined the walls, showing celebrations, gatherings, and moments of joy across generations. The children's artwork, inspired by both cultures, added splashes of color everywhere. One wall featured a growing collection of family recipes written in different handwriting, some in English, some in Chinese characters, all telling stories of love and tradition. The kids had started adding their own notes to these recipes, like "Grandma says the secret is to stir 3 times," or "Pop-Pop's tip, add extra honey." During homework time, their eldest daughter proudly shared a school project about family traditions. She had interviewed both sets of grandparents, recording their stories about growing up in different parts of the world. Her siblings sat fascinated as they listened to the recordings, hearing their grandparents' voices tell tales of their childhood. "I love how Grandma tells stories," the middle child said, playing with her hair that was styled in a way that honored both cultural traditions. "And how Pop-Pop always makes us laugh with his silly voices." The family's influence spread beyond their home. At school events, they became known for bringing dishes that represented both cultures. Other parents started asking for recipes, and soon their children's classmates were regular visitors, drawn by the warmth and acceptance they felt in their home. One afternoon, during a school cultural fair, the triplets set up a booth that showcased their unique family story. They displayed photos, traditional clothes, and foods from both sides of their heritage. Their presentation became so popular that the school asked them to help organize a diversity celebration month. "Our family is like a big puzzle," their son explained to visitors at the fair. "Each piece is different, but when you put them together, they make something beautiful." His simple explanation touched many hearts and sparked meaningful conversations among other families. The children's understanding of their heritage grew deeper as they got older. They started asking more complex questions about their family history, eager to learn about where they came from. Maya and David used these moments to share important stories about both their cultures, including the challenges their ancestors had overcome. During a weekend visit, David's father brought over old family albums he had recently discovered. The children gathered around, fascinated by black and white photos of their relatives. "Look," their youngest daughter exclaimed, pointing to a picture. "Great-grandma has the same smile as me." Maya's parents joined these historical explorations through video calls, sharing stories about their life in Asia and their journey to America. The triplets took turns speaking simple phrases in their grandmother's native language, proud of each new word they learned. Their home became a gathering place for extended family and friends during holidays. They celebrated Lunar New Year with red envelopes and lanterns, Thanksgiving with both traditional American dishes and Asian fusion creations, and created their own unique traditions that blended both worlds. One evening, as the family worked together in their small vegetable garden, another project that combined both cultural traditions, their son asked, "Mom, Dad, do you think our family is different from others?" David paused from his watering, exchanging a glance with Maya. "We're different in some ways," he replied thoughtfully. "But being different is what makes us special. Look at this garden. We have plants from both sides of our family growing together, making something new and beautiful." The children nodded, understanding the simple wisdom in their father's words. They continued tending to their garden, each child responsible for different plants, working together just as their family did in everything else. As the sun set on another family dinner, Maya watched her children clear the table together, speaking a mix of English and Chinese phrases they'd learned from their grandparents, their laughter filling the house with joy. She smiled, knowing that their home had become exactly what they'd hoped for. A place where differences were celebrated, traditions were honored, and love knew no boundaries. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, Maya sat in their backyard garden, watching her 12-year-old triplets as they worked on their own projects. The garden, once just a small patch of earth, had grown into a vibrant space filled with flowers, vegetables, and herbs from both their cultural backgrounds. Much like their family, it had flourished beyond her wildest dreams. Her eldest daughter sat cross-legged under the cherry tree, practicing Chinese characters with careful brush strokes. She had recently started taking advanced language classes, determined to speak with her grandmother without needing translation. Her dedication reminded Maya of herself at that age, always eager to bridge cultural gaps. Their son, perched on the porch steps, was putting final touches on his presentation for the school's Diversity Council. At 12, he had already become a passionate advocate for inclusion, using their family's story to help other kids understand and celebrate differences. "Mom," he called out, "can you help me practice my speech one more time?" The youngest triplet was nearby, sketching in her art journal. Her latest series of drawings captured their family's story through a child's eyes, colorful portraits showing how their different features created a beautiful whole. Her art teacher had even suggested displaying them at the upcoming school exhibition. Maya felt a gentle tap on her shoulder as David joined her, carrying 2 cups of tea. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked, settling beside her on the garden bench. She smiled, taking a sip of the jasmine tea her mother had sent from overseas. "Just thinking about how far we've come," she replied, watching their children. "Remember when we worried if we could handle triplets, if they would face too many challenges being different? Those early fears seem so distant now." Their children had grown into confident, compassionate individuals who saw their unique family as a strength, not a challenge. Each had found their own way to embrace and share their mixed heritage. The previous week, during their school's cultural celebration, the triplets had organized a presentation called The Colors of Family. They shared stories, photos, and traditions from both sides of their family tree. Their classmates were fascinated by how they celebrated holidays, blending customs, and creating new ones unique to their family. "Did you see Mrs. Thompson crying during their presentation?" David asked, smiling at the memory. Their children's teacher had later told them how the presentation had helped other students better understand and appreciate different family structures. Their home had become a gathering place for friends from all backgrounds. The kitchen regularly filled with the sounds of children trying to pronounce words in different languages, sharing snacks from various cultures, and learning that friendship knows no boundaries. "Mom," their son called out again, interrupting her thoughts. "Listen to this part. Some people ask how we can be triplets when we look different. I tell them that family isn't about matching on the outside. It's about the love we share and the memories we make together." Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes. Their son had taken their simple explanations from years ago and transformed them into his own wisdom. David squeezed her hand, knowing exactly what she was feeling. The girls joined their brother on the porch, adding their own thoughts to his speech. Their youngest shared her latest drawing, a family portrait where their different features were highlighted in vibrant colors, creating a beautiful rainbow effect. "You know what's cool?" their eldest daughter said, showing a photo on her phone. "My friend told me our family inspired her parents to adopt a baby from a different background. They said seeing how happy we are helped them realize that love is what makes a family, not how you look." These moments of impact weren't just happening at school. Their story had rippled through their community in unexpected ways. Other mixed-race families reached out for advice and support. Their local library had asked the children to help create a display about diverse families. Even their pediatrician had put their family photo in the waiting room to help other children see that families come in all combinations. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over their garden, Maya reflected on their journey. The challenges they'd faced had become stepping stones to understanding. The questions they'd answered had opened doors to meaningful conversations. Their differences had become their greatest teacher. David called the children in for dinner. Another beautiful blend of their cultures. The kitchen filled with chatter as everyone helped prepare the meal, switching effortlessly between languages and traditions. "You know what I love most about our family?" their youngest daughter asked as they sat down to eat. "We're like my art. Different colors coming together to make something new and beautiful." Maya looked around their dinner table, at David, who had been her partner in this amazing journey, at their children, who had grown into ambassadors of love and understanding, at the photos of their extended family on the walls, at the blend of foods and traditions before them. "When I was expecting you three," she told the triplets, "I worried about having enough love for 3 babies. Now I know that love doesn't divide, it multiplies, and when you add different colors to love, it creates something even more beautiful." Their son raised his glass of juice in a toast. "To our rainbow family." "To our rainbow family," everyone echoed, and Maya felt her heart swell with pride and joy. Their story wasn't just about raising triplets anymore. It was about showing the world that love transcends all boundaries, that differences are meant to be celebrated, and that every family creates its own unique and beautiful rainbow.